One of the biggest hidden moments in For All Mankind Season 5, Episode 8 isn't the bombing on Mars. It's Kelly Baldwin silently standing there on Titan knowing she may have doomed her entire mission. And the scary part, almost nobody around her realizes she's responsible yet. Because Kelly's bad landing wasn't bad luck. It was almost certainly caused by a decision she made herself. And if Walt discovers the truth, the Titan mission could completely fall apart before they ever reach Forseti Crater. At first, the Titan storyline feels disconnected from the chaos happening on Mars. But Episode 8 quietly reveals that both stories are actually about the same thing. People risking lives because they believe their mission matters more than safety. On Mars, Miles risks lives for independence. On Titan, Kelly risks lives for discovery. That parallel is extremely intentional. So what actually happened with Kelly's landing? The Titan crew was supposed to land near the neighboring floodplain close to Forseti Crater, the location believed to have the highest chance of containing microbial life. This crater is basically the entire reason the mission exists. Finding life on Titan would be one of the greatest discoveries in human history. But instead of landing in the correct safe zone, the crew lands 20 kilometers away in rough terrain outside safe EVA range. That's catastrophic. Why? Because Titan is not Mars. The environment is far more hostile, unpredictable, and isolated. Every oxygen calculation matters. Every rover trip matters. Every kilometer matters. Landing that far away means they don't have enough oxygen for full team travel. Their resources become critically strained. Rescue options become limited. The mission timeline becomes unstable. One mistake could strand people permanently. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's the kind of error that gets astronauts killed. Now here's where the episode gets really interesting. Walt immediately becomes obsessed with figuring out what went wrong, and notice his behavior carefully. He keeps replaying calculations, checking systems, questioning himself over and over. Why? Because Walt is a procedural scientist. He trusts systems. So in his mind, if the landing failed, then he must have made an error. But Kelly's reaction tells a completely different story, because she already knows what happened, and the show practically confirms this without saying it outright. Earlier in the season, Kelly secretly altered mission priorities because she was desperate to reach Titan and continue the search for life. That ambition has defined her entire arc. She inherited Ed Baldwin's obsession with pushing further, no matter the cost. But unlike Ed, Kelly hides her recklessness behind calm logic and scientific optimism. That's why this reveal matters so much. Kelly likely made a maneuver or judgment call that affected the landing trajectory and never told Walt. Which means the bad landing wasn't really an accident. It was the consequence of Kelly prioritizing the mission objective over operational safety. And now she's trapped in silence. The most important scene is when Kelly almost confesses. That moment is huge. You can literally see the guilt crushing her while Walt spirals emotionally trying to blame himself. And honestly, Walt's breakdown is painful to watch because he genuinely cares about protecting the crew. He's not driven by glory. He's driven by responsibility. That's why Kelly stopping herself from confessing changes everything. Because once Walt temporarily hands command over to her, she realizes something terrifying. If she admits the truth now, the mission could collapse instantly. Trust would disappear. Command structure would break. The crew might even lose confidence in the entire search for life. So Kelly makes a choice. She buries the truth. And morally, this might be the darkest thing Kelly has ever done. Not because she wanted people hurt, but because she's allowing another man to psychologically destroy himself for her mistake. That's why the Titan storyline feels so emotionally heavy in episode 8. It's not about external danger yet. It's about hidden guilt. What makes this even deeper is how Kelly mirrors her father, Ed Baldwin. Throughout For All Mankind, Ed has always believed that pushing boundaries justifies enormous risks. He sacrifices relationships, breaks rules, ignores warnings, because in his mind, exploration requires dangerous choices. Kelly inherited that exact mindset. The difference is that Kelly presents herself as more emotionally controlled and morally balanced, but episode 8 reveals she may actually be just as obsessive as Ed ever was, possibly worse. Because at least Ed usually owns his decisions publicly. Kelly is hiding hers. And the irony is brutal. Kelly gives one of the most inspiring speeches in the episode. Open quote, "We came in peace for all mankind." Close quote. It's emotional, hopeful, beautiful. The speech inspires Mars, it inspires the rebels, it inspires humanity. But secretly, Kelly already knows her own mission is built on deception. That contrast is intentional. The show keeps exploring how noble ideals often hide messy human decisions underneath. There's also another hidden reason the bad landing matters. The Titan mission is psychologically fragile now. Everyone is exhausted, resources are limited, they're isolated further from civilization than any humans in history. In environments like that, trust is survival. And if Walt discovers Kelly lied to him, the consequences could become catastrophic, not just emotionally, operationally, because Walt is already unstable after obsessing over the failed landing calculations. Once he realizes he wasn't responsible, that obsession could turn into rage, and honestly, he would have every reason to feel betrayed. Episode 8 also quietly suggests that Kelly's scientific ambition may be turning into obsession. Notice how determined she becomes about reaching Forseti Crater no matter what, even after the disastrous landing, even after the oxygen limitations, even after Walt's mental state deteriorates. She still pushes forward. That's important, because For All Mankind has always asked whether humanity's greatest discoveries are worth the human cost. The original moon missions destroyed families. Mars destroyed Danny Stevens. Now Titan may destroy this crew. The deeper humanity goes into space, the more psychologically dangerous the mission becomes. And Kelly may now be crossing the same line that destroyed earlier generations. The scariest part? The show hasn't punished Kelly yet. That usually means the consequences are still coming. And in classic For All Mankind fashion, the emotional fallout is probably going to hit at the worst possible moment. Imagine Walt discovering the truth during a life or death emergency. Imagine the crew losing faith in Kelly while stranded on Titan. Imagine Kelly being forced to choose between saving the mission or saving her team. That feels exactly like the kind of tragedy this show builds toward. But there's one final detail most people overlooked. Kelly's bad landing doesn't just parallel Ed Baldwin. It parallels Dev Ayesa too. Both characters believe mission mattered enough to justify dangerous decisions. Dev bombed the domes believing it would stabilize Mars. Kelly altered the mission believing discovery justified the risk. Both thought they were helping humanity, and both may have unintentionally created disaster instead. That's why episode 8 is secretly about the danger of visionary thinking, because sometimes the people trying hardest to save the future become the reason everything falls apart.